जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी। जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय नित्य गौरंग जय नित्य गौरंग। नित्य गौरंग जय नित्य गौरंग। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from 10th Canto, Chapter 1, Text number 4. Please repeat after me. Nivruttatarshayrupagiyamanad. Nivruttatarshayrupagiyamanad. Bhavaushadachotra manobhiramat. Bhavaushadachotra manobhiramat. का उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादात। का उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादात। पुमान् विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्। पुमान् विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्। निवृत्ततर्षैरुपगीयमानात्। भवौषधाच्छोत्रमनोभिरामात्। का उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादात पुमान विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात् निवृत्ततर्षैरुपगीयमानाद् भवौषधाच्छोत्रमनोभिरामात् का उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादात् पुमान विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात् निवृत्ततर्षैरुपगीयमानाद् भवौषधाच्छोत्रमनोभिरामात् का उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादात् पुमान विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात् निवृत्ततर्षैरुपगीयमानाद् भवौषधाच्छोत्रमनोभिरामात् का उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादात् पुमान विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्. Word to word translation. Please repeat after me. Nivruttha, released from. Tarshaihi, lust or material activities. Upagiyamanat, which is described or sung. Bhavaushadhat, which is the right medicine for the material disease. Shrotra, the process of oral reception. Manaha, the subject matter of thought for the mind. Abhiramat, from the pleasing vibrations from such glorification. Kaha, who? Uttama shloka, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Guna anuvadat, from describing such activities. Puman, a person. Virajyeta, can keep himself aloof. Vina, except. Pashugnat, either a butcher or one who is killing his own personal existence. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? Purport. This is a very long purport, so we will break it into parts and discuss about it. In India, it is the practice among the general populace to hear about Krishna either from Bhagavad Gita or from Srimad Bhagavatam in order to gain relief from the disease of repeated birth and death. Although India is now fallen, when there is a message that someone will speak about Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, thousands of people still gather to hear. This verse indicates, however, that such recitation of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam must be done by persons completely freed from material desires. Nivritta tarshaihi. Everyone within this material world, beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, is full of material desires for sense enjoyment. And everyone is busy in sense gratification. But when thus engaged, one cannot fully understand the value of Krishna Katha, either in the form of Bhagavad Gita or in Srimad Bhagavatam. If we hear glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from liberated persons, this hearing will certainly free us from the bondage of material activities. But hearing Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by a professional reciter cannot actually help us achieve liberation. Krishna Katha is very simple. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As he himself explains, Mattaha parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. O Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Bhagavad Gita 7.7. Simply by understanding this fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become a liberated person. But especially in this age, because people are interested in hearing Bhagavad Gita from unscrupulous persons who depart from the simple presentation of Bhagavad Gita and distort it for their personal satisfaction, they fail to derive the real benefit. There are big scholars, politicians, philosophers and scientists who speak on Bhagavad Gita in their own polluted way, and people in general hear from them, being uninterested in hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from a devotee. A devotee is one who has no other motive for reciting Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam than to serve the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore advised us to hear the glories of the Lord from a realized person. Bhagavata parodiya Bhagavata sthane. Unless one is personally realized soul in the science of Krishna consciousness, a neophyte should not approach him to hear about the Lord. For this is strictly forbidden by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who quotes from the Padma Purana. Avaishnava mukodgirnam putam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishtam yatapayaha. We'll stop here and we'll continue. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Vedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vipasyat Deshatarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaurabhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false, temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul, undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? So we finally reading from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and before beginning the detailed glorification of the Supreme Lord, there is description of who should we hear this from, how this should be heard. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very fond of hearing Krishna Katha from one person. Who was that? Ramananda Rai. Right? So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a pastime. Once Pradyumna Mishra, he is from the village of Srihatta. He comes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear Krishna Katha. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, "Oh, you want to hear Krishna Katha? I don't know any Krishna Katha, but there is one person from whom I would love to hear Krishna Katha. That is Ramananda Rai. Please go to his house and hear from him." And so Pradyumna Mishra goes to the house of Ramananda Raya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Over there, his Ramananda Raya's servant receives him and makes him seated in that living room. And he says, "Please wait, Ramananda Raya is coming." A little time goes by, still he doesn't come. A little more time goes by. And he gets a little anxious. What happened? And so next time he sees the servant, he calls him and says, "Oh, is it going to take longer? Where is Ramananda Raya?" And then the servant says, Yes. See, Ramananda Raya had written a play on Lord Jagannath. And he was saying, my master is teaching to Devadasis how to perform this particular drama. And he describes, so he's busy with that. So please wait for some time. And then he asks, what exactly is he doing? This particular play on the moods of the devotees and the ecstasies of the devotees in seeing Lord Jagannath. So these needs to be expressed in a particular way. So Ramananda Raya was personally showing them how to do. It is said that he would, bathe these two young girls, smear their bodies with scented oil, dress them, and then he would personally show them how this particular expression should be done. And Pradyumna Mishra is very surprised to hear this. Oh, he is a renounced person who has given up his Ramananda Raya used to be the governor, in Andhra Pradesh. He gave that up. He's come over here to live a renounced life with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why is he, doing all this, and why is he touching those young girls and bathing them and dressing them? It's so inappropriate. Like didn't say that, but he was a little surprised to hear that. And then, while still he was waiting, and then Ramananda Raya finished his teaching and came. By that time, it was actually a little too late. And then he comes in and he offers obeisances to Pradyumna Mishra and says, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you. It's so nice that you have come to my house. My house is purified by your coming here." And he says, "How can I help you?" At this time, Pradyumna Mishra is thinking, oh, it's already a little too late. He just says, oh, I just came to see you, and I'm very happy to just see you. Thank you. And he takes permission and leaves because it's too late. And the next day morning, he goes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks him, oh, did you meet Ramananda Raya? Did you hear Krishna Katha from him? Then Pradyumna Mishra said, yes, I went to his house on your instruction. But he was very busy. He was teaching those two young Devadasi girls, how to perform this play. So I could not get a chance to talk to him. In that context, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says a few things. I'll just read it. Very nice verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita that establishes the position of Ramananda Raya. And also, it throws light on this exact same verse. Who should you hear from? Nivritta Tarshair. Nivritta, one who's been freed from Tarsha. See, the word Tarsha means desires or thirst. Like the word thirst comes actually from Tarsha. Right? Thirst, a desire, a longing. Prabhupada translates it as lust or hankering for material desires. Because that's what it means, having desires. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Pradyumna Mishra thereupon described the activities of Sri Ramananda Raya. After hearing about these activities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak. I am a sannyasi, he said. I certainly consider myself renounced. But what to speak of seeing a woman? If I even hear the name of a woman, I feel changes in my mind and body. Therefore, who could remain unmoved by the sight of a woman? It is very difficult. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying this. Then he says, everyone please hear these topics about Ramananda Raya, although they are so wonderful and uncommon that they should not be spoken. The two professional dancing girls are beautiful and youthful, yet Sri Ramananda Raya personally massages their entire bodies with oil. He personally bathes and dresses them and decorates them with ornaments. In this way, he naturally sees and touches the private parts of their bodies. Nevertheless, the mind of Sri Ramananda Raya never changes, although he teaches the girls how to physically express all the transformations of ecstasy. His mind is as steady as wood or stone. Indeed, it is wonderful that even when he touches such young girls, his mind never changes. The authority for such acts is the prerogative of Ramananda Raya alone. For I can understand that his body is not material, but has been completely transformed into a spiritual entity. He alone and no one else can understand the position of his mind. But I can make a guess in terms of directions from the Shastra. The Vedic scripture Srimad Bhagavatam gives the direct evidence in this matter. When one hears or describes with great faith the pastimes of Lord Krishna, such as his rasa dance with the gopis, the disease of lusty desires in his heart and the agitation caused by the three modes of material nature are immediately nullified, and he becomes sober and silent. Tasting transcendental, effulgent, sweetly ecstatic love of Krishna, such a person can enjoy life 24 hours a day in the transcendental bliss of the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. A transcendently sober person who, with faith and love, continually hears from a realized soul about the activities of Lord Krishna in his rasa dance with the gopis, or one who describes such activities, can attain full transcendental devotional service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, lusty material desires, which are the heart disease of all materialistic persons, are from him quickly and completely vanquished. So we see here how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praising the exalted position of Ramananda Rai. Right? How do you know Nirvitta Tarshair? How do you know that we do not have lust or material desires? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is telling, see, Ramananda Raya, his prerogative of his own mind, right? Meaning, only he can understand his mind, right? We can only read and understand from the Shastras what must be going on in the mind of Ramananda Raya. Similarly, see, this is why devotional service, one has to be so much focused on our spiritual elevation and perfection. And we are the judge of our consciousness. Right? You can do all kinds of external drama, whatever you want, and externally you can say some things. But what is going on in your mind? You know. Right? Until you are purified, right? Then Nivritta Tarshayar Upagiyamana. Then the question becomes, maybe we should all stop giving Bhagavad Gita class, Bhagavatam class. Right? What do you think? What is the solution? I am definitely not qualified. I do not belong to this category at all. So should I stop giving class? What is the solution? Exactly. So we are not saying I am Nivritta Tarshair. My spiritual master has said, every day you read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Every day have Bhagavatam class. And you pick one person, who is, by his authorities, said, okay, is competent to give class. Not that he is a pure devotee. Not that he is Nivritta Tarshair. But somebody has to give class. So we repeat the words of a pure devotee, in parampara. And so we can give class and hear. And we should keep ourselves, to what is given in the Shastras and try our best to live up to that standard. Prabhupada later in the purport you will see, he's telling, I have the medicine for this material disease. What is the medicine? The medicine is hearing the pastimes of the Lord. But if to hear the pastimes of the Lord, we need people to speak. We need people to hear. And he says, Prabhupada says, I have created this International Society for Krishna Consciousness to train people so that they can try to follow in these footsteps and try to have purity in consciousness. That is why it is so important. It is so important that before we preach, or to be effective in preaching, we have to follow. Apni achar, then prachar. Right? You have to first do your achar, then you can do prachar. So, and we see this is such a wonderful example. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was such a strict sannyasi. Right? What are some examples of his strictness in the matter of women? Can somebody share some examples? Huh? See, he doesn't want to hear ankle bells of women. And in Jagannath. Yeah. And this is not some singing in somebody's house or something. This was singing that was going on in Jagannath temple. Right? And he would, there were few other examples of how strict he was with this thing. There are many more. Huh? The Chota Haridas example is there, right? Chota Haridas didn't commit anything or didn't break any regulative principle, physically or something. He just, for a second, he just lustily thought about that woman who was giving him alms. That's all. Nothing else. And to that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, he should not live. It is better that he dies. Right? What other examples? Yeah, he says, even thinking of a wooden doll in the shape of a woman will bring lust in your heart. And he refuses to meet Prataprudra, King Prataprudra, saying, oh, he's a pound and shilling person. I cannot meet him. Right? So you see this dichotomy of the strictness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in most situations. And in this particular situation, I mean, if you apply the same rules over here in Ramananda Rai's situation, you said, what is this? How can, let alone, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he wouldn't even let women, you'll never see any woman alone. If somebody was to come, they had to be at a distance, they would just take obeisances and they would go. And he is following all this strictness and he is dealing with Chota Haridas like this. And here he is praising Ramananda Rai. And that is this thing. So it is said that Ramananda Rai was in the mood of, because he was, like I said, he had a spiritual body. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly telling. His body was spiritual already. He was in the mood of a gopi. And he was thinking of those two Devadasi girls as gopis, and then he is helping them serve the Supreme Lord. That was totally, he was completely in that mood, and that is why in that situation, in that very specific case, it was okay. Right? We'll read a little bit more of the purport. Where Prabhupada talks about what we should not do in terms of who we should not hear from. So we were seeing one should avoid hearing from a person not situated in Vaishnava behavior. A Vaishnava is Nivritta Trishna. That is, he has no material purpose, for his only purpose is to preach Krishna consciousness. So-called scholars, philosophers and politicians exploit the importance of Bhagavad Gita by distorting its meaning for their own purposes. Therefore, this verse warns that Krishna Katha should be recited by a person who is Nivritta Trishna. Shukadeva Goswami epitomizes the proper reciter for Srimad Bhagavatam, and Parikshit Maharaj, who purposefully left his kingdom and family prior to meeting death, epitomizes the person fit to hear it. A qualified reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right medicine, bhavaushadhi, for the conditioned souls. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to train qualified preachers to recite Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita throughout the entire world, so that people in general in all parts of the world may take advantage of this movement and thus be relieved of the threefold miseries of material existence. So this is the purpose of our movement. That's why all of us should be very conscious of this. The instructions of Bhagavad Gita and the descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam are so pleasing that almost anyone suffering from the threefold miseries of material existence will desire to hear the glories of the Lord from these books and thus benefit on the path of liberation. Two classes of men, however, will never be interested in hearing the message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are determined to commit suicide and those determined to kill cows and other animals for the satisfaction of their own tongues. Although such persons may make a show of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam at a Bhagavad Saptah, this is but another creation of the karmis who cannot derive any benefit from such a performance. So Prabhupada says this is literally a performance. You would have seen, right? Bhagavad Saptah. Singer is in full mood, like this and that, and tears are coming sometimes. But then you see what activity are they doing right after. Right? They'll go home, drink tea, coffee, and smoke, and sometimes like watch movies and all these things. There's a disconnect between all these things. Right? The word Pashugnath is important in this connection. Pashugna means butcher. Persons fond of performing ritualistic ceremonies for the elevation of the higher planetary systems must offer sacrifices, yagnas, by killing animals. Lord Buddha Deva therefore rejected the authority of the Vedas because his mission was to stop animal sacrifices, which are recommended in Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. Nindasi yagna videraha aha shruti jatam sadaya hrudaya darshita pashughatam keshava dhruta buddha sharira jaya jagadisha hare. Gita Govinda. Even though animal sacrifices are sanctioned in Vedic ceremonies, men who kill animals for such ceremonies are considered butchers. Butchers cannot be interested in Krishna consciousness, for they are already materially allured. Their only interest lies in developing comforts for the temporary body. Bhoga Ishwarya prasaktanam taya apahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadauna vidiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Bhagavad Gita 2.44. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakura says, Manushya janma paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya janiya shuniya vishakhainu. Anyone who is not Krishna conscious and who therefore does not engage in the service of the Lord is also Pashugna, for he is willingly drinking poison. Such a person cannot be interested in Krishna Katha because he still has a desire for material sense gratification. He is not Nivritta Trishna. As it is said, Traivargikaste Purusha Vimukha Harimedasaha. Those interested in Trivarga, that is in Dharma, Artha and Kama, are religious for the sake of achieving a material position with which to gain better facilities for sense gratification. Such persons are killing themselves by willingly keeping themselves in the cycle of birth and death. They cannot be interested in Krishna consciousness. For Krishna Katha, topics about Krishna consciousness, there must be a speaker and a hearer, both of whom can be interested in Krishna consciousness if they are no longer interested in material topics. One can actually see see how this attitude automatically develops in persons who are Krishna conscious. Although the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement are quite young men, they no longer read materialistic newspapers, magazines, and so on, for they are no longer interested in such topics. Nivritta tarshaihi. They completely give up the bodily understanding of life. For topics concerning Uttama Shloka, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master speaks and the disciple hears with attention. Unless both of them are free from material desires, they cannot be interested in topics of Krishna consciousness. The spiritual master and disciple do not need to understand anything more than Krishna, because simply by understanding Krishna and talking about Krishna, one becomes a perfectly learned person. Yasmin Vignate Sarvam Evam Vignatam Bhavati. Mundaka Upanishad 1.3. The Lord sits within everyone's heart, and by the grace of the Lord, the devotee receives instructions directly from the Lord Himself, who says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smriti gnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarverahameva vedyo vedanta krid veda videva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Krishna consciousness is so exalted that one who is perfectly situated in Krishna consciousness, under the direction of the spiritual master, is fully satisfied by reading Krishna Katha as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and similar Vedic literatures. Since merely talking about Krishna is so pleasing, we can simply imagine how pleasing it is to render service to Krishna. When discourses on Krishna Katha take place between a liberated spiritual master and his disciple, others also sometimes take advantage of hearing these topics and also benefit. These topics are the medicine to stop the repetition of birth and death. The cycle of repeated birth and death, by which one takes on different bodies again and again, is called bhava or bhavaroga. If anyone willingly or unwillingly hears Krishna Katha, his bhavaroga, the disease of birth and death, will suddenly stop. Therefore, Krishna Katha is called bhavaushadha, the remedy to stop the repetition of birth and death. Karmis or persons attached to material sense enjoyment generally cannot give up their material desires. But Krishna Katha is such a potent medicine that if one is induced to hear Krishna Katha, he will certainly be freed from this disease. A practical example is Dhruva Maharaj, who at the end of his tapasya was fully satisfied. When the Lord wanted to give Dhruva a benediction, Dhruva refused it. Swamin kritartosmi varam na yache. My dear Lord, he said, I am fully satisfied. I do not ask for any benediction for material sense gratification. We actually see that even young boys and girls in the Krishna consciousness movement have given up their long practice of bad habits like illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. Because Krishna consciousness is so potent that it gives them full satisfaction, they are no longer interested in material sense gratification. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta Prabhu. So, we'll end with a very interesting pastime. In 1976, when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, it was 1975. when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. Then one day, P.C. Sarkar, he was a very, very famous magician in those days. He had come to meet Srila Prabhupada. And he was very respectful to Srila Prabhupada. He offered him obeisances and this thing. And then he says, Prabhupada ji, do you want to see some magic? Prabhupada says, yes, very nice. And then he says, let us do it in the afternoon. And he sends word for all the devotees to come and see. And so P.C. Sarkar performs magic exclusively for Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. And, he makes some things appear from his ears, and a lot of things come. And like very bewildering magic he does. And everybody, Prabhupada is not bothered that he's using Prabhupada as a prop, and from him different things are coming. And then everybody is so happy. Prabhupada is very pleased and smiling and all that. And then Prabhupada says, P.C. Sarkar, you are such a wonderful magician. Can you do the magic of making birth and death disappear? P.C. Sarkar laughingly says, no, Prabhupada, you are a bigger magician than me. You are the only one who can make birth and death disappear. That is the true magic. That's what we're seeing over here. In order to make birth and death disappear, there is only one medicine. And that medicine is hearing Krishna Katha. And we should hear that Krishna Katha from liberated souls. And because we are in the path of getting liberated and we have services to do, we should try to maintain proper consciousness. Try to live up to the standard given by Srila Prabhupada, and try to practice. They are not ready yet. 3 minutes. Altar is ready? Okay. Anybody has any quick question before we close? Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so in the Vedic sacrifice, in the Vedic system, when there was animal sacrifices mentioned, like Ashwamedha Yagna, you sacrifice a horse. Some yagnas you sacrifice a goat and this thing. In fact, that was not at all meant for sacrifice. It was meant to test the power of the person performing the yagna before they continue the yagna. It is not even like in the end they sacrifice. In the beginning, are you qualified to perform this yagna? Oh, let me test. They're always supposed to use an old animal. They're supposed to sacrifice an old goat and a new body he will get. Prabhupada in two places. One place of Prabhupada said they got a new animal body. Some places Prabhupada said they got even a human body. And when they pass the test, then only say, okay, now you can proceed with this. Right? So it is never meant to be like, oh, you sacrifice the animal and then you eat the animal. It is only meant to give them life. And over the years, this gets distorted. Like, who is there? That's why Prabhupada says, who is there to perform yagna like this? Show me somebody who can kill an old animal, give it. If you are able to do that, then you can perform sacrifice. And it got distorted to such an extent, everybody started killing animals in the name of God. They were having, all this, they say, right, this big slaughterhouses in front of temples, Kali Prasad. And the whole temple is there, the whole street is lined up with meat shops. Kali Prasad, Kali Prasad. That is what Buddha came to do. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Bol Premanande.